morning, good afternoon, and good evening. My name is Sir Meerkat, and welcome back to the Moto Meerkat channel, and welcome to another episode of the ChatterBox Podcast. Now, in last week's episode, we heard from a legend of the British Touring Car Championship, Matt Neal. He talked us through his feud with Jason Plato, and even including that famous clip of him threatening to rip Jason's head off. It was pretty funny. I would definitely advise that you go and listen or watch that podcast, but of course, only after this episode, because today we have another legend on. This one, sadly not racing the BTCC, but done some epic things too, and not quite as old as Matt Neal either. He works with Veloce eSports as their content manager. Please welcome Haydon Gullis. How are you doing today, mate? And I hope I pronounced your last name right.
Yes, perfect. Apart from calling me a legend at the start, you've really oversold me there. But I'm excited to be on today. It's been an absolute pleasure that you've asked me to come on, so I'm excited, man.
Mate, anytime. I'm super happy to have you. I just kind of wanted to have a chat with you anyway. I don't really care about the podcast. It's great. Fantastic to have you on. And don't undersell yourself, mate. You're definitely a legend in the F1 scene. I'm going to say later on when we get onto the fan questions, it's the most fan questions I've ever had submitted, mate. So you're clearly doing something right.
Surprising. That is surprising.
You're clearly doing something right.
Right, the head's got bigger now.
Can't see it. It's off screen now.
Yeah.
But mate, it's a pleasure to chat with you. Obviously, still not in person, sadly, but it does look like we're kind of getting out of this stay-at-home business relatively soon, so maybe something in person in future. But luckily, with kind of the testing that you're able to do, you have still been able to do some filming at the Veloce HQ. I saw on your story, and I think it was a couple other people's as well, that you were filming with like Tomo, Aldas, Matt Amos the other day. But what we all want to know is, I think it was on Aldas's story, who won the table tennis game between you and Tomo?
I don't think we actually kept score, to be fair. I think when it comes to the three of us, so the thing that we're building with Veloce now is the three of us are like the figureheads now when it comes to content. So like we're going to be our staple three. Right. Aldas is definitely the best when it comes to table tennis. He came in first time a bit sort of slow, and then within 5 minutes he's whipping out these quick serves. I'm just like, what on earth is going on? So competitive. And then me and Tomo were just sort of like relaxed. Like we both know we're not that good, so we're just like hitting it back to each other, just trying to get some rallies going. But we'll just say I beat Tomo. You know, we'll just he might disagree with that, but you know he's not here to argue. So
I mean, to be fair, I did ask him on text before this, and he did say the same as you, to be honest. I thought he'd be like, no, I definitely won. But no, he did say, we were just rallying, to be fair, man. But I'm the Dark King, says Tomo.
Oh, okay. So maybe he's hustling us this whole time.
Exactly.
He's waiting for the wager, and then he's going to come and spank us.
I'm sure you'd love that, mate.
To be fair.
And also, I also wanted to ask you, I've seen on loads of people's stories recently as well, how is Matt Amos's new sim? It looks epic.
So that's not actually his new sim.
What? Is it a Veloce?
Yeah, so we've always had that. So when I joined back in 2018, that was like the first thing that I went into, the first thing I was directed to when I had my little tour.
Right. I thought it looked a bit professional for his house.
Yeah, we've had it for so long. It's so cool. It's like this full 260-degree view, 3 projectors, like direct drive wheel. It's now we've upgraded it compared to the last one. It now blows air into your face the faster you go.
That's sick.
I don't know if it's a bit too much but it is cool. Like the faster you go, I suppose it's good for ventilation because it can get very sweaty in there. But yeah, we've had that for so long. Matt's just been getting everybody on his story recently, just showing it off. But it's such an awesome piece of kit.
Yeah, that's what I thought it is, but it's a very cool thing to have. I need to have a go on that thing. Are you any good at iRacing? Would you back yourself?
I do actually back, obviously not like to eSports level, but like at a good level. And I've done it so many times on that sim, like it has iRacing, you can drive online. I used to live in the old office, so I used to be on that sim like pretty much every evening, playing iRacing and stuff like that. And I even did the 24 hours of Le Mans. I tried to attempt that by myself on that sim as well. Got about 10 hours in.
Why? Why did you do that?
I'm a bit mental sometimes. And I just like to put myself through bad things, you know? Why not? Just thought I'd give it a go, see if I could do it, because the sim's quite a cool thing. We made a bit of content around it. But yeah, got to 10 hours. The game broke my car because I was live on the stream, and I think chat told me to turn off the engine. I don't know whether that was a good thing or a bad thing, but then the car blew up when I came back to it after like a little break. Which is probably a good thing, to be fair, because I was in a lot of pain.
It gave you a good excuse to stop, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Quite lucky.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely don't try that again in the future, mate. That's just idiotic, I'm afraid.
Well,
that was just silly of you.
I went on this sim. I've got a smaller version. It's not as strong.
Okay.
And I did the 24 Hours of Daytona recently, all by myself. And I managed to complete that one. So because I didn't do Le Mans last year, I'm quite tempted to do it again.
Oh my
But
god,
we'll
you
see,
absolute
we'll see.
mad lad. Absolute mad lad. Leave it in the comments if you're wanting to see Haydon do 24 hours or more by himself again. Jesus Christ. I'll definitely tune in for, well, not 24 hours, but maybe some of it. But yeah,
jump in a chat.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. I'll jump in and say hi at like 12 hours in and just laugh at you. But yeah, we're getting slightly ahead of ourselves. Let's cast our minds a little bit back before you even got into content creation, Veloce, and all that stuff, to when you were just a wee baby Haydon. How was life growing up for you? How did you find kind of school? Was growing up an overall good or bad experience?
Baby Haydon. I think I had a good childhood, to be fair. I look back, especially now I'm 24. I'm not like old, but you're in an adult life now, and you look back and you're like, God, I wish I was a kid again. It was so easy. Yeah. It was so much fun. Yeah. I mean, it was a good childhood. Grew up on the south coast, just sort of between Portsmouth and Brighton. So very close to the beach, and just a really sort of good area, good sort of schools, good friends. Just the typical, I suppose, a typical English boy, just playing football was sort of the main thing that I did. Then you're in school, and the main problem that you had going into school every day was, who is bringing the football today? Like, has anyone got a ball for lunch? That was the main thing that you were asking. But yeah, not really too much to sort of, I didn't really do anything outlandish, no go-karting growing up, and I didn't really get into it because there wasn't really a budget for it. I wasn't really the first. Like, football's easy, you just buy a pair of boots and you can go out and play football. Like, that's true. It's quite easy to do. Whereas go-karts, you've got to buy a lot more. But when we went on holidays, we used to go on holidays to France, to the south of France. Used to go go-karting there, and I was absolutely terrible. Things have changed a lot since then, but I was absolutely terrible.
Have they?
I once, yeah, they have. They definitely have. I need to prove myself in a video, but they definitely have.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you whether you've done any karting growing up. That's sad, mate. But yeah, the holiday karting is always the best, because I was gonna say, if you've got some more experience now, like I want to see like a Veloce team at the WTF 124 hours or something like that. I want to see you heading it, mate. Yeah,
that's something that to be fair, we are thinking of wanting to do for sure. But yeah, it was so bad at karting when I was a kid. I jumped in a car and I did crash it a few times, to the point that there was a guy, and I guess this was the owner, and he was in French, so I didn't really know what he was saying, but he was sort of speaking like broken English, and was just basically along the lines of, "Don't ever come here again."
Oh my god!
So to be honest, that did put me off karting for quite a long time, if I'm completely honest.
Poor baby Haydon.
Yeah, no. Poor little 7-year-old Haydon just getting told you're terrible and never drive a go-kart again.
The French man just absolutely smashing your dreams.
Where are you now, French man? I proved you wrong.
Never thought you'd be a motorsport content creator, did he?
Exactly.
Oh, you proved him wrong.
Exactly.
So yeah, you didn't actually do any proper karting, say, as a kid.
Yeah.
But was it as a kid where you got into motorsports? Was it like your parents got you into it, or how did that kind of come about?
Yeah, for sure. I don't know why I've said for sure. Typical Nico Rosberg there. Yeah, for sure. My mum was into F1. She likes to remind me that she was the one who got my dad into it. Because I always remember my dad being the one on the sofa, but it's because Sundays mum would be making dinner. So that's why I sort of don't really remember mum watching it so much. But I didn't really have the patience to watch Formula 1 as a kid. I was always very active and wanting to do something. So I never really could sit down. But I always, like, when I was outside, I'd pop back in, and I was a Schumacher fan. Like, I mean, who wasn't at that age?
Exactly.
Growing up in the early 2000s, and you didn't really know a lot about Formula 1. You knew who Michael Schumacher was. So I'd always pop in. I'd be like, is Schumacher winning? And I think I remember for one Christmas, I just got this basic red jumpsuit, like racing suit, like cheap as you like, but pretend that I was Michael Schumacher, in the garden in those little cars where you push with your feet,
Oh yes.
So yeah, that was sort of my initial getting into motorsport, and it was only ever F1, in all honesty, and then getting into gaming. Having a PlayStation 1, and I think the first racing game I remember playing was Gran Turismo, and I was never any good at it. I remember me and my brother were we're okay, but not amazing at it. We got to a point, there was one circuit where we could wall ride so easily on that game, so we couldn't take a corner. So I was like, what if I try this and just hold it all the way around the outside? I was like, well, that works.
I mean, you're getting the best line, so
yeah, exactly.
thinking outside the box.
It was the quickest way through it. It worked. Job done.
Perfect. Yeah, I was going to ask you about that, about sim racing, because if you didn't do too much karting, we know now that you're a pretty handy sim racer, and I was going to ask kind of how you got into that. Gran Turismo, definitely a great game to initially get into. Was there a standout game in your childhood, like a racing game that you absolutely sweated?
Yeah, so for me, it's a big jump. I played a few sort of F1 games in the past, but never really like properly got into them. And it was actually F1 2009 on the Wii. What a game! What a game! Such a good game. That's the one that properly got me into it, because you playing a lot of Mario Kart, and I think that's when I properly got into F1 as well, because Lewis Hamilton sort of got me back into it when he was challenging in 2007. I watched that final race where he didn't win it, and then I watched the final race in 2008, and then sort of loosely followed it. Actually, I started watching, I think, the first 4 races at the start of 2009, and that's sort of where now I would say started me being a Button fan, was from that season when I properly got into it. So playing F1 2009 was like sort of like the game I sweated the most first, and then F1 2010 came out, and then since then I was hooked. Like,
I can't believe you sweated 2009 on the Wii.
You got to get through the career mode, like get all the challenge. I think if I went back on that game, I've got pretty much every challenge ticked off on there. Like, I mean, when I sweated it.
I remember some mates bought that game for me for my birthday, and I maybe played it for like 20 minutes, and I was like, "This is shit. Like, this sucks." What did you play it on? I had the proper. Because it came with like an F1 style. Yeah, I had that. It would slot in the little F1 wheel. Yeah. Yes. I remember, I didn't play that F1 game too much, but when we used to play Mario Kart, I would always use the F1 wheel because I was definitely faster with it.
Yeah, love that. To be honest, I played it back recently when I did my own videos, I think about 3 years ago maybe, for a series. And going back to it now, I realise how terrible it was. Yeah. Like, you just drift through every corner. But back then I had a lot of fun playing it, to be fair.
Yeah, no, to be fair. It's just the fun factor. It's just an absolute shit show. What a game. I love it. But I'm surprised you didn't get into... my one was F1 2006 Championship Edition. Have you played that?
Do you know what? I actually haven't. I never got that game. Mate. I never... Because when it came to... I can't remember what sort of games I was into on PlayStation. I'm trying to go through... I think it was more FIFA, because I was very much football. I went through a stage... When I was a younger kid, I was into sort of, make-believe playing, and then, pop in and see, how Schumacher doing. And then I got into football, and then that was basically all I was into. And then come 2009, then I was like... back into motorsport, and I think around 2011, 2012, it sort of switched more. It's like, I'm more of an F1 fan than I am a football fan.
Gotcha. Do you still like football nowadays? Do you still follow it?
Oh yeah, I still love football. I still play it. I mean, when I can at the moment. I know we're sort of locked in, but we're starting to get back into it. But I absolutely love playing it. Watching it, I'm not a fan unless it's England or I'm at my team's game. If you're at the stadium, it's brilliant because the atmosphere is great. But watching on football on TV for me is just boring, which is weird as an F1 fan. There's another sport where nothing happens for quite a long time.
This is true.
With F1, you can think about it. You can think about what's going on. You can think about strategies and think, maybe they're going to do this or maybe they're going to do that. Whereas F1, you can't just go, he's going to maybe do this skill at this point and score. Like, it doesn't work like that. You don't think like that. So probably more of an F1 fan now.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. Yeah, I'm not into football at all. So I find that that's quite more enjoyable because I can enjoy the watching of the game. So if I go to like a game with my mate, I just support the team that they're supporting. I can still have fun. Yeah. But for me, I only ever watch it if it's England playing. I'm so excited. This year we've got the World Cup and the Euros.
Yes.
It's going to be epic. I can't wait for that. The pubs are going to go insane throughout all of those. It's going to be awesome.
It's going to be absolutely crazy.
Yeah, it's going to be epic. It's going to be epic. So we move kind of through your childhood. Got into sim racing and that. I moved through school, had an overall good childhood, you say. Did you end up going to university or did you skip out uni?
I didn't.
You didn't go to uni?
For me, I was quite lazy. To be honest, with me, when it comes to education, when it comes to education for me, I was always, and I don't want to be bigging myself up, but I was always really intelligent in primary school. Like in maths, I was always like one of the best, and science, I was always one of the best. English, absolutely terrible. I can't read or write. I'm terrible. I mean, I can, but it's awful. Anyone who sees my tweets, there's always a spelling mistake or grammar mistake. Grammar, please don't come at me. But the other two subjects, I was always so good in primary school, and then up until year 9, because that's the sort of stage where you can sort of fluke it. You don't have to do your homework. You don't have to do any studying outside. And then as soon as you get to sort of GCSEs, you know, if you want to get the top grades, you have to put in the work. But if you already sort of got a good baseline there, like I did, you can still sort of easily breeze through it. And I got through, you know, Bs quite easily through a lot of my GCSEs. Nice. And then it came to A levels, and oh my days, was that an awakening. Jeez, first year was just like, fails, just because I just didn't do any work. And then even throughout, even though I was just like, nah, I've learned from my mistakes, I need to do it. I'm never that person who can just sort of sit down and work. I'm very energetic. I have to be doing something. If I'm sitting down for too long, I get really fidgety, and I'm just like, I can't do this anymore. Like my legs start shaking. Even when I was editing videos, that's how I was. So I made the choice after college. So I did 3 years of college because I failed the first year, and I went into the third. I got through it. I passed it. I didn't get great grades, but I got like the E's and the D's that you need to pass A levels. So I can still say I've got my A levels. And I made that choice from then that I was going to go and do content creation, because I was like, I enjoy watching a lot of YouTube. I'd always watched people from maybe about 2013, 2012 game, and I was just like, this is something I want to try and get myself into. As a kid, probably one of the jobs that I always wanted to do was be an actor, which never came through because I was... The one thing I'd probably say about my childhood that I look back on and I regret is that I thought too much of what people thought of me. I didn't want to stand out. I didn't want to be picked on for doing something different. So I'd never do any sort of drama or acting classes or clubs outside of school. I just did the norm, football, because that was the cool thing to do. You know, that was the thing that would allow you to sort of sail through without being picked on or anything like that. So never really got into acting, unfortunately. But then I saw myself as just like, what about presenting? You know, that's something that I could potentially do. And, you know, compared to how I am now, back in college and school, I was so shy. I was so quiet. You know, I was like I say, I just sort of breezed through, you know, just tried to keep to myself. And I suppose doing content creation after that was sort of a way for me to be like, do you know what, maybe I can do this. I can be this loud spoken person. Yeah. But yeah, that's the main reason why I didn't go to university, because I just wasn't good in terms of studying hard and working for that. Plus, I didn't really know what I wanted to do either. Like there was so many different things like through college. Like at first it was like maybe be a PE teacher because I liked doing sports, and it was like, oh, be a football coach. So I did my football coach, or I did like a higher sports coaching award thing in college, and then it was like, do you know what, I really like F1, why didn't I try and to be an engineer, you know? So I'm like, all right, I've got maths, I already do maths, which I don't know, my mum forced me to do, which I didn't want to do, but you know, I've got maths as an A level, I suppose. But I didn't do physics, so I was like, okay, I'd have to go into like a start, I don't know what it's called, but it's like a pre-university like
foundation year.
Yes,
is that it? Yeah.
Yes. So I'd have to go and do that. But when it came to it, in all honesty, I won't lie to you, I was really lazy about writing my, what's it called, when you apply to a uni? Like, not a resume or a CV. It's,
yeah, oh God. I can't remember on the spot.
But yeah, I was really lazy when it came to writing that. So when it came to the deadline of writing that, I was like, I have not done that. Do you know what? I'm not going to uni. I've decided now.
Nice. Education just clearly wasn't the one for you, mate. Just clearly not meshing well with that system. That's fair enough. I mean, I can tell you, mate, that A levels were, I agree with you, horrendously hard. Uni was so much easier than A levels, mate. Man. So I'm just letting you missed out there, mate. I'm afraid. But yeah, you've chosen a great path, and then you've done very well from what you have gotten into. And literally, it just sounded like, apart from the football coaching, you basically just described me, but I'm about 3 years behind you currently. So hopefully I come out of this okay as well. But yeah, so you got into content creation. It was literally leading straight onto my next point. I was going to ask all about that, of how you kind of got into it. Did you do any while you were still at school, or was it very cut off between education and then you got into content creation afterwards?
Yeah, nothing when I was at school. Again, I think it was just because my parents would definitely not let me. They were just like, no, get on with your A levels. Like, if I hadn't done any work, it got to a point where it's like, even in college level, you know, I'm 18 at this point. It's like, no, we're taking away your Xbox. Like, you're not doing that. Like, you got to get on with it. I mean, I don't think it ever happened, but the threats were there. So I don't think they would have been happy if I started getting into content creation like during college. And I never really had the eye for it when I was in school before then. So never sort of interested. But leading out of college for like the last 6 months of being in college, I was like, I knew what I wanted to do. As soon as I bought equipment, like, because I was working part-time at Tesco at the time, so I'd use that money and exactly, you know, throwing it about on all of my equipment that I was going to get. Like, I looked up, what do I need? Microphone, capture card, because it was mainly gaming stuff that I was doing, racing wheel as well, because I really wanted to get into using that. And just sort of used all that money whilst I was in college to be like, yeah, spend. And then as soon as college finished, it's like, right, I'm going to start making videos. And I didn't make a video for about maybe 3 months because I didn't pick up the confidence to do it. But we got there.
We did it. Was it confidence or was it more laziness?
It was definitely confidence. It was definitely confidence because I have 4 siblings. One of them had moved out by that point. Okay. One of them was still living there and one was at uni. So when they were back, especially as I'd finished college here, my brother would have been back for the summer. Yeah. Everyone's in the house and you're always thinking, I don't know whether you started and you have siblings or you have family that was always about at home. Yeah. You're always thinking before you start a video, especially when you first start, you can hear people moving and you're just like, oh, that's too loud. The viewers are going to hear that. I can't record. And you sort of make excuses for yourself. Right. But then also, like, when you're actually recording and you mess up an intro, and it bugs me so much that this got to me, but they got to me so well that whenever I'd mess up an intro, as soon as I'd finish the video and I'd come out my room, my brother or my sister would just literally keep on saying, because like the intro is always where you mess up, and they would just repeat that over and over again, like taking the piss. I was like, damn it. So it was definitely confidence for the first 3 months of sort of getting into it. And I go back and I look at that first video and it's absolutely terrible. Like, I sound like I'm so monotone. I hate my life right now. But the thing is, and I'll say this to anyone who is watching who's thinking about getting into it, you've just got to start it. You're going to be absolutely terrible when you start. Like, honestly, you will be terrible. No one is going to get into this and be amazing. But, you know, you will always improve with every single video that you do. So it's worth getting into it if it's something you want to do.
Exactly. And don't have siblings that are dickheads as well.
Exactly.
But yeah, no, I definitely agree with you about the confidence aspect of stuff. Yeah, even when I started the Moto Meerkat channel, it would have been my 4th channel, and I've been making videos for years previously, and yet I still look back to those first Moto Meerkat videos and going, oh my god, that was so bad. So you're always improving, no matter even if you've done it for years, you're still getting better and better and better. So just having that kind of confidence to start and go for it and try not to think about how everyone in the house can hear you.
Yes. It's still annoying to this day, and to be fair, that's where I've sort of got a bit better in real life. Filming is, you take that, it's the same element, because, you know, instead of hearing sounds, it's you're seeing people around, even though those people you'll never see again. And they're literally probably not even looking at you. But in the back of your head, you're just like, everyone's watching, what are they thinking? And it's just one of those things. Yeah,
that's something I haven't done yet. Something I don't have an experience with yet. It's like filming on sound stages, which you've done now. That you were just saying there, I'm sure that can be quite difficult. Quite like, oh my god, everyone is looking at me. Everyone is thinking. But you're there because you're good at it anyway. So just have the confidence and go for it. So
cheers.
Exactly. No, but Haydon, you're always great, mate. You're always fantastic.
You know the way to my heart.
But yeah, so you've been able to do all this kind of soundstage stuff, obviously through Veloce. Can you talk us through sort of from when you started creating content on your own to then how the deal with working for Veloce came about? Can you talk us through that kind of timeline?
Yeah, sure. So there's quite a lot of moving factors, in all fairness, to building up to the Veloce start. I've
literally got all day, mate. I've literally got all day.
So I was working at Tesco. I worked there from maybe first year of college, I think, maybe second year of college. when I was 16. Worked in Tesco. And that was basically, that was my part-time job. That was so I could get the money to make the content and sort of get the equipment and stuff like that. That's why I was there. Hated it. Worst employee ever. Literally, I was on checkouts for a year. I looked like I was the most miserable person ever. Then managed to get into electrical, and we had a little back room where no one else, unless you were part of electrical or clothing, could go because it was all the high-value stuff. So it was a lock-up. Right. So, I don't need to worry because they're not going to fire me now because I don't work there anymore. But I would just go out there for so long in a day and would just sit out there and do nothing. Like, if a new Netflix show came out, I'd just put it on my phone. I'd just sit there, chill, watch that.
Future employees better be listening to this.
Yeah, exactly. If you're at Tesco and you work on electrical, you could get away with murder.
What a terrible influence you are.
Yeah, exactly. I hated the job there. I won't lie, I hated it.
But mate, I've done tills and I've done online shopping for Sainsbury's, so I exactly know what you're feeling.
Retail is the worst, but it gets you money. Like, it's a good job if you're in college or university, but you got to get out. Like, to anyone who works there, if you're thinking about, I don't want to do this for the rest of my life, honestly, get out. Like, pursue your passion. Just do it.
The people I see there that were like in their 40s and looked like death, I was like, oh my god, I'm studying for my degree. I'm working hard. I don't want to be here, but I'm that old. Jesus.
Yeah. So I was doing content creation at the same time. All just gaming. It was all just F1, pretty much career mode and little challenges and stuff like that. And that was all through 2015, 2016. And then 2016, I think my second year of doing it, I think I've got up to just over 100 subscribers, maybe up to 200 when I was, and that's after a whole year of doing it. So I've had so many people now who just like, I've been doing it 3 months, I've got like 400 subscribers. I'm like, that's sick, and you're still in school. Just keep going, don't worry about it. So I was like, 200, that's great. And I didn't know any of the people that I know now. Like, I was on my own. Like, I didn't know anyone. Yeah. So I reached out because I watched Arav's content and I watched Ben's content. They were the two people that I sort of watched. So I reached out to Arav, I sent him an email and was just like, I'm pretty good at writing emails, to be fair. Like, it definitely stood out. We'll come back to the emails later when we talk about Veloce too. So I sent him an email, but because Arav's quite a big name, I was like, what's the chance that he's going to read his emails? So he also did videos with Tom and Callum. Mm-hmm. Now, I never really watched Callum's videos, but I basically sent him the same email that I wrote to Arav, and being like, watch all your videos, would love to do a collab with you. So he checked out, and he still gives me stick to this day, because he's just like, you're already here because I opened your email. And it is true. It is true. But... So he checked it out and was just like, he was actually just finished filming the Pit Lane podcast that we used to do back then. Yeah. So he was still on a call with both Arav and Tom. It's just like, this guy's just sent me an email, and I checked out my videos. Like, he's actually like pretty good for like how many subs he's got. So they both just gave me a shout out, and it was just like that month just went from like 200 up to 1,000. And like, I was just like, oh my God, this is insane. And people just getting really invested into my career mode. And this was a time when I was really working hard. Like, I would put out a video every single day whilst having a part-time job.
Jeez.
And I was like, basically, my goal for that 2016 game was Arav and Ben are going to get it early. I've got to make sure that I smash it out as much as possible so I'm always on the same career mode episode as them. Because if I'm behind them, no one's going to want to watch my content because they already know what's going to happen further in the career mode. So I was just like, I've just got to smash it out. And I did manage to do that. And I think that's definitely what helped me in that month. A lot of people got behind it. And then... 2017 was probably the year that it sort of went downhill a bit, but I'd been so grateful that I'd been able to meet these people already. So we went to the 2017 Silverstone Grand Prix, and I met Arav, I met Cal, I met Tom, I met Niran there as well. So all of us sort of hung out at the Grand Prix with other people in our group as well. So I'd met these people, and it was like such a cool sort of surreal experience to go from like making content, watching these people, and then, you're hanging out with them, which was really cool. To be fair, it didn't hit me too much at Silverstone, but I went to a house party of Arav's at Halloween, and he opened the door because it was his house. And it was just that moment where he opened it, and I'm just like, you're Arav, you're Arav. Like I didn't say that, but that was like a split second in my head. And I'm thinking, like, I've met you before. Like, why am I thinking like this? But yeah, it was just a sort of cool experience. But 2017 was like a difficult year for me because I put so much hard work into videos. I was more quantity over quality, probably. especially in 2017. And then it came to the career mode, and I was like, I'm going to get this game early because I know a site that I can get it before the embargo lifts, and Arav and Ben and all that lot are going to have to be delayed, so I should be ahead of them. And then this was the first year that Codemasters gave the game early and put the embargo thing so they could get it, start making it a week before. So I was like, no, great. So I was trying desperately to try and catch up, and I was probably putting more effort into my videos, adding graphics into them, like trying to make it look like the real F1 graphics as much as possible, along the side and like the pit lane and everything like that. And I was putting in so much work that basically my schedule was I would work at Tesco, so I was doing more overtime and stuff like that to try and get more money. I was doing 9 till 6 there. I'd come home at 6. I'd make a video, probably till like 3 o'clock in the morning. Then I'd wake up, go to work at 9, and I'd come back I'd take my whole hour and a half break, and I'd come back and I'd do the commentary. And it just got to a point where I'd been doing this for like a good solid month, where I just sat there about to do a commentary for Russia, and I just couldn't really, it just sounded horrendous. Like, it was just awful commentary, and I just sat there, I was like, I can't do this anymore. And then that's just sort of where it sort of went downhill on my own one, just because I just put myself through too much. I burnt myself out. And I just was, it was more being desperate to try and achieve. That's why I sort of, instead of thinking like, I can make quality content, it's going to be like, I've just got to do this, got to do this, got to do this, got to do this, because, you know, you have people in the comment section always just like, where's this video, and you feel like you owe them something. So that's why you're sort of putting out this content more. And it was just, then from the whole of 2017, 2018 was just sort of a weird year of trying to get back into it, taking breaks, trying to get back into it, but then flopping, and then trying to get back into it again, trying new avenues. I did a video which was like more in real life. I was like, let's try and do in real life stuff, not F1. And I mean, I can send you the video. I can send you the link to the unlisted video because you might enjoy it, to be fair. It's quite cringy funny. Okay. You can use various clips if you want. And it's just me like pretending to be someone to become a YouTuber and going down the different avenues of that. So at one point, I'm in my boxers jumping into a nettle bush, so I'm sure you'll enjoy that one as well.
This wasn't even like doing in real life motorsport stuff then, it was just like
just in real life, just literally in real life random things. You know, every sort of genre of YouTube, I try to tick it off in this one video. And then it got to 2018, late 2018, and I was just in a stage where I was in Tesco. I was hating my life there. Like, I just didn't enjoy it. And I was just like, I've got to get out, because I had so much pressure on my parents that were like, you know, go be a manager, you can get all this money, you know, go do this. And I was just like, I don't enjoy being here. I don't want to do it. So it just was like, right, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. And it was finally that moment that I was like, right, let's go and apply to things. And recently, Veloce had put out a video because Arav had signed with them. I didn't really know of them really anyway at that point. I'd sort of seen them on Twitter, but not really watched them or anything like that. And they made a video called This Is Arav, so where they just basically went to his house, had a short little interview, and I was like, I watched it, and I was like, the video's not that entertaining, like it's not that great, but to be fair, now looking back at it, it was just one guy that sort of run the whole show, and he was a freelancer, and he was in college at that point, or just out of college, so he was like very new to it as well. And I just basically said, look, I think you'd really benefit from a presenter, because that's what I wanted to do. And they just came back to me, and they were just like, we're not looking for a presenter, but we would love someone to sort of come over, take control of the channel, and make it their own baby, like look after it. And I was like, well, I've had my own channel. I built it up from 0 to 5,000 subscribers, so I have experience of building a channel, and especially in this market, in this community, because they were gaming focused back then. So yeah, that's basically how the Veloce from content creation all the way up into joining Veloce. And you know, one of those emails to one of the founders, Jamie McLaurin, that's how I got in there. If you want to get a job, honestly, put at the bottom that you make a good cup of tea, because that's basically the way to catch the eye. Everyone loves tea, so apart from me, but everyone else sort of loves tea and coffee. So just say that you know how to make a good brew, and they'll be happy.
If you're applying to any job that isn't to do with Haydon, offer a cup of tea. But if it's Haydon,
exactly.
What can we offer you instead of a cup of tea?
Well, that is a good question. Just like a hot chocolate or a Nesquik,
Okay.
honestly. Like,
Oh, okay.
That's got me.
I can respect the Nesquik. That's a good choice.
Rock up with a chocolate Nesquik and
Little chocolate Nesquik. I like it. I
Yeah.
like it. So yeah, but hey, that's super interesting story of how you moved through. You were saying earlier with school how lazy you were. Well, you clearly weren't lazy once you actually kind of got your like the passion for something and wanted to go out and do it. You were working incredibly hard. But yeah, even to the point of where you were working a bit too hard and getting the burnout. I know what that feels like, and just feeling like, oh, what do I do? Like, I want to do all this content, but I, at the same time, couldn't think of anything worse to do right now. So I fully get that. But so you're now with Veloce, obviously proper bedded in with the team, a mainstay of the team. I know your official title is content manager. What does that actually involve on like a day-to-day business? What do you do for them?
So back when I started, I was the man who ran the YouTube. That was me. I came up with the ideas. I sort out the shooting days. I'd sort out all the shoots, even the stuff for our partner teams of back then. It was Sauber and it was Fernando Alonso racing team. I'd sort out those shooting days and stuff like that. And then Isaac, who was the only other person on the content team, would rock up and we'd shoot those videos together. And we go from there. Back then, I was not a presenter. That was not my role. It was not to be in the videos. I was maybe a voice in the background doing the quizzes for the bigger content guys. And it came to about I think it was like an open lobby video that we had a series called Fan Lobby Chaos, an open lobby video like that. And our content creators, we just couldn't get enough of them like every week. So I was just like, well, we've got some stuff set up here. I'll jump in it, and that's basically where it sort of started for me to sort of get myself in these videos, and it sort of built up bigger and bigger from there. In a day-to-day now, it's not as much because there's people above me. So I was the top person of the content, but now we have people, 3 people in the content team that are above me for sure. Can't think of the top of my head if there's any more, but there probably are. So it's not as much sort of the planning, but I still come up with a lot of the ideas. Like we've got a spreadsheet for a lot of ideas that we want to do with myself, Tomo, and Aldas. And I've come up with a lot of those ideas, putting those forward, and sort of taking an idea and writing out as simply as we possibly can for anyone to understand, and sort of then making it from just an idea into something that could actually be shot and filmed. So that's basically what my day to day. And sorting out the Twitch at the moment. That's basically what my day-to-day is.
Gotcha, like the nurturer of ideas and actually
When it comes to Veloce, in the workplace, everyone does everything. Like it's weird that people have different roles because technically everyone does everything. Like you're in your different departments now. Back then we were all just one team. It was like 5 of us that were working all towards, or 6 of us working all towards one thing. Whereas now you have different departments, so you stay in your departments, but you still basically, like, anyone can come over to you and be like, can you do this for me, or do you have any details about this? And even though you're like, that person will probably be best suited, you still sort of help out, you still get on with it, and because we're all just like, we're all pretty good tight-knit family as a company, which is weird and cringy to say as a company, as a family. But I see it more in Veloce than obviously I did. Like, you go into retail, and I don't know whether anyone said that when you were in retail, like, we're a family. You're like, you don't really half the people, because half the people don't like you either.
Exactly,
Whereas in Veloce, everyone is close together, and we've got such a cool office hub that it allows everyone to come together, and you can mix with everyone. So it's pretty cool. But that's basically my day to day now.
Fair. With the retail, I remember them saying that with a big family, but there was always like this massive group of women on the online shopping who did it every night, and then I accidentally ran one of them over, not with a car, like with the pushing trolley, like it was really heavy, and I accidentally ran her over, like I hit her really hard, and then that group of old ladies hated me for the next 2 months I was there, like give me proper dirty looks every time I went past them. So,
thank God you clarified that it wasn't with a car.
It wasn't with a car. I haven't killed a woman. Like, just put that out there. But yeah, clearly with the Veloce, mate, it's been super successful, and as you say, it's grown into all these different departments now. So clearly, largely down to you, mate, of its success. So massive congrats for you there. But I did say before we started the interview that I had one question that was going to kind of put you on the spot a little bit. I did want to ask, out of all the content creators that you've worked with so far, who has been the best and the worst to work with?
Oh, right, okay. This is probably actually quite easy to answer. The best to work with has got to be probably Arav. Arav is such a hard worker. You message Arav and he will reply to you within an hour. Like, you're going to get a reply to Arav, and he's always super down, as long as it's not last minute, because these guys make, I mean, for Arav, he makes videos every single day. So if you're like, can you do this today? He's probably going to be like, I'm working on my own videos, sorry. But if you're like, can you do this next week? He will work around that. So he's always been so good. And when it comes to being on set as well, he's always so good. And he can just switch it on. Like, he can just be nice and chilled. And then for backseat driver, for example, he can be proper energetic and really passionate about a Formula 1 race. He can switch that on. Or if we're just watching it like as friends, just chilled out, he can be that chilled out person as well. Like, so he's probably, I'd say, probably the best person I've come across in the content team. Okay. Now the worst, right? The worst is between. No, it's not between two. I was going to say it's between Ben and Niran. Niran's bad because he doesn't reply. You want a reply from Niran, you know, you're better off ordering from a Chinese company on eBay, because they will have better delivery times than Niran. But that's the only one thing he's bad at, because when it comes to content creation, he's always on time and he's always prepared. Benjamin Daly, right? Tiamat Marduk never replies. He's terrible for replying, and he is always late. But at least when he is there, he always does a great job. Ben is a top content creator, but he's so unreliable. But he's such a great lad. I love him. But you know, Ben, you grind my gears, you do.
Nice. I like all the shade, the F1 community shade. I'm liking it right now. Yeah, Tiamat Marduk needs to get his acting skill clear. He needs a new alarm clock, I think. That's if you do a little Secret Santa video, there you go. There's the idea. An alarm clock, getting somewhere on time.
Where we tell him to get there half an hour earlier. He's still late. He's not as late as he usually is.
I do that with some friends as well. I tell them the earlier time because I know they're going to be late anyway. But yeah, also something you mentioned before we started the stream was, what was the most interesting experience that you've had with a Formula 1 driver? You had a couple of interesting stories that you wanted to share.
Yes. So we'll start off with the first one. I was... so as Veloce, we have partner teams. One of them was we were working with Fernando Alonso and his eSports team when they were going through their second year. So we were sort of running that behind the scenes, and we had a little activation piece where we would take those eSports drivers that they had, go over to his museum in Oviedo, which is such a long drive away. Such a cool place. But we had to fly to Madrid and then drive all the way to Oviedo, and it like in the heat as well, in a car for about 4 hours. Horrible. But when you got there, it was so worth it. It was a really cool experience to be in his museum. It is a really cool place, and he's got like a karting track next door to it as well. Didn't get to go in the karts, though. I was frustrated. Didn't get to go in the karts, but because he was I think he was announcing his academy team as well at the same time.
Oh yeah.
So they were doing all of that stuff, but he was there. And I was doing an interview with him, as well as Logitech, because that was his one of his main sponsors, title sponsors, was doing an interview with him as well. And their questions were like proper, really, really serious, like really serious questions. You know, those sort of bog standard questions you ask, and the F1 driver is going to give you a bog standard answer.
Yeah, boring.
Yeah, exactly. And then our questions were just basically from our esports drivers. We told them to like ask one question from all of them, and also Jamie Chadwick, because she was part of that esports team at the time as well.
Right.
So yeah, all of those were sort of, and then I'd ask them to Alonso. And then I had one question that I wanted to get in at the end, and this is one I will always ask everyone, so I'm going to ask it to you as well, and anyone at home if he wants to answer. But I asked him, right, what would you prefer? So a dog-sized elephant, so an elephant that's quite small,
yeah,
you know, fit her in your home, or an elephant-sized dog, a massive dog. Imagine Clifford the big red dog. That's what we got.
He's quite cute,
What would you prefer? He is quite cute, but for me, there's only one answer.
Yeah, I mean, it has to be a dog-sized elephant.
Yeah, you want a little elephant running around. Like, that's so
that'd
adorable.
be cute. A massive bloody dog. I'd be terrified of the thing.
Yeah, exactly. Alonso answered with a little dog-sized elephant. And I reckon, you know, still to this day, you know, when he's in the shower, that's probably weird. He's probably not thinking of me in the shower.
Breaking news, Alonso thinks of Haydon Gullis in the shower. When
he's just out and about, he's just daydreaming for a bit. In his head, he's like, would I still prefer a little dog-sized elephant? Or would I like an elephant-sized dog? I feel like he's just... There's some of the things he goes through on his day-to-day basis. But yeah, that's why I asked him. And to be fair, hats off to Alonso. He had a really good answer. I can't remember it to this day, but everyone sort of like was laughing at the question and sort of it could either go one way, just like, why have you asked this stupid question? Everyone's just like, what? Or but everyone took it really well and they were all sort of like laughing and quite happy about it.
That's good. Yeah,
he was actually really good.
When they actually decide to play ball and be fun, it's good. But
if
you try and like elicit some banter and then they just fully like wall, no, I'm not having that. You're just like, oh, this is really awkward now. Great.
Yeah.
So at least it went well. And now, anytime he's asked now, what was the best ever question? He's going to be like, well, there was this guy called Haydon Gullis, and he asked me.
He's going to walk up to the paddock at some point this year with a little elephant on the lead, right? And I'm going to be like, I started that, okay? I started that.
What was there was another story as well, wasn't there?
There was. So another team that we were working with, another activation. This was for the Alfa Romeo eSports team. And this was the second season I think we did it with them. We announced Danny Bresde joined us from Mercedes that year, and Baldwin. They were all being announced at Silverstone in the Alfa Romeo motorhome. So we did a big activation piece. Arav was one of the team principal at the time, content creator on board with that. So he did a video where he was playing F1 with Kimi Räikkönen. We also had Giovinazzi there, and we were asking questions from people that had asked us on Twitter, on the Sauber eSports Twitter page. So we had all this equipment, so much like monitors, a couple of PlayStations, camera gear, everything, all across all these tables that we were allowed to use and basically use it for that. And at the end of the day, because I was in charge of that whole shoot, I grabbed all the equipment and I was putting it on all the bags. I was getting it off all the table and everything like that. And then get home and I find, I've got them now, this pair of sunglasses, right? I find this pair of sunglasses. I was like, oh, okay, these are quite cool. I guess they were probably a team members, because they're Carrera, so they're sponsored by the team. So I was like, they're probably just a team members that unfortunately they'd left there. Fair enough, that's cool. Couple of weeks later, we're going through the shoot and all the videos and all the pictures that we've got, and I spot these glasses hanging from Antonio Giovinazzi's shirt. And it was at that point I realised I've accidentally stolen the Giovinazzi sunglasses. And then everything shut off, so I haven't had a chance to return these. So Gio, I know you're an avid watcher.
He is. So I've seen him in the comment section all the time.
Exactly. So let me know, mate, and I will return these to you if you want them. But I won't lie to you, I wear these all the time. So.
Yeah. Total accident that was, really.
Yeah, exactly.
We believe that. We believe that. Definitely.
I just grabbed them off his chest and I put them in my bag.
Mine now. I think he gets them pretty much for free, mate. So I think he'll be happy with you keeping that pair.
I think he might be fine. But
if he's not, with it.
I'm glad to meet up with him. Give him back.
Yeah, I'm
Come
sure.
to the paddock.
Yeah. Cracking stories there, mate. I'm sure lots to come in the future. But speaking of which, what are your plans for the future? Do you see yourself staying with Veloce in the long run, or do you think you might branch out and do stuff by yourself, or maybe branch out into something completely different? What do you reckon at this point, or do you really kind of have no idea? You're kind of seeing how it goes.
I'd say definitely sort of seeing how it goes. We are in a transitional period in Veloce. We've gone from heavily esports based. The GP last year did so well for us, but we can't really replicate that anymore because I feel like that sort of had its time. They tried virtual GP again. I don't think it was as successful as it was last year. I don't think people were as into it. We obviously didn't do our own one because of reasons that I can't actually talk about. I'm not allowed to, unfortunately.
Okay.
But we didn't do a Not the GP this season. Which is a shame because I really enjoyed that, and it was a good sort of thing for me to actually be a presenter on such a big stage. I was on the F1 YouTube channel live to so many people. Absolutely nerve-wracking. Oh my god, my heart was beating through my chest at the start. And I had these big, because we don't have an auto cue, so there's nothing that I can read off. I had a piece of paper that I had to memorize, and it was about 4 sheets of paper. So I think about halfway through, it gets to a point where I'm just learning lines, and I managed to absolutely smash it. I was on a roll, and it got to the last line. There was a guy in my ear, and this is the first time I've ever had someone in my ear talking.
That is the most difficult thing in the world.
And it was just right, and 5 seconds until Arav comes in, as I was on this last bit, and it's just yeah, and I sort of stutter over my words, and it was I was like, oh man, I'd smashed it up until that point. So we've been all esports for so long, and now we still want to be esports. We want to, we have our esports teams. We work with McLaren. We work with with Alpha as well. We work with Yas Heat, and we also work with Mercedes in the terms of we manage their drivers. So we still want to do that. But we also want to, in the content world, we want to go out and to do more in real life things, because it's cooler, to go out into the in real life and do stuff and show people like what awesome stuff you can do in an F1 world. So that's sort of our future plans at the moment. I'm not going to go too much into it, so you're just going to have to wait and see. But we've already filmed one of our sort of first videos that's sort of starting a new line of stuff, and I think that's going to go out next week. So I don't know when this is going out.
This will be going out next Tuesday, so probably go out around the same kind of time.
Might be a couple of days after this goes out, or maybe the week after. So it's around that sort of period. But we had a lot of fun. I hope a lot of people enjoy it, because when we filmed it, we had a lot of fun, and our two producers, Matt and Callum, were absolutely loving it as well. So yeah, I hope people enjoy it. If it makes you want to watch, if you don't like me, I will be in pain at some point in that video. So there's a reason to go and watch it.
I'm definitely going to be tuning in then. 100%.
So that's
Very
basically,
much. Sorry,
that's
Karen.
The future is going.
Nice.
No worries.
Awesome, mate. I look forward to that.
With me, Tomo, and Aldas, and that's sort of what we wanted to build. As well as our other content creators. We've got a lot of content creators, and we do stuff in terms of esports, and we've got Kira on board, and we want to work closely with her as well, because we think she's really good at what she does. And obviously Backseat Driver is one of those things that a lot of people enjoy, basically F1 Gogglebox, but people enjoy it. People want to see what other reactions people have, because everyone's different. Kira's very fangirly. She's very cryy over big things that happen. Arav gets so into it. He's so energetic and passionate. I think me and Tomo are quite we're into it, but we're quite laid back, and we like to talk about it and sort of chill. And it's just cool whenever you get these different fans on, and it's just like how everyone else is different when they watch an F1 video. But in terms of me, I want to stay with Veloce, of course. I'm really passionate, and I really want to grow this team as much as possible, and it's going to be awesome, and I think we're going to do some really cool stuff. But if there is any stuff that sort of goes on personally that approaches me that people want me to do, I'm always sort of up for it, but it has to be, for me, can't clash with the stuff that Veloce is. Right. So for example, I'll reference over to Matt. Obviously he does WTF1, but he also does F1 broadcasts and stuff like that. There's no clash between the two. So I'm not going to say that F1's going to come knocking on the door, but if they any sort of presenter roles that can allow me to, you never know. They're just literally outside right now.
They were just getting ready to.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, well, okay, we guess we come back next year then. But if anything sort of came to me of like a presenter role that I could do on the side, I would so totally be up for it, because that's what I want to do. That's what I enjoy doing.
Yeah, mate. I'd love to see you in whatever, but we're kind of head to head now, mate. I want them too.
We are.
So
okay.
Put them up.
Bring it on. We'll have a proper F1. We need like an F1 YouTubers starts diss tracks, and then we go to boxing. We're a little bit behind, like side menace stuff like that. We just start doing diss tracks and then boxing matches.
That would be horrendously cringe.
Yes.
But also amazing. Maybe we could start this. I'll do a little diss track towards you. We'll get this sorted out after we stop recording.
Yeah.
We'll get this.
We'll cut this part out. We'll end this podcast where we get really angry with each other.
Oh, I hate you, Haydon. I hate you.
Yeah, and everyone's like, oh my god, what went on? And then the diss track start.
Oh, terrible. Yeah, let's not do that. Let's definitely bin that idea off. But as you were saying, you've got so much already happening and so much possibilities in the future with the stuff that you're doing. So I wish you luck with whatever you get involved doing, mate. Because I'm sure you'll smash it. Thank you very much. That's about it for my questioning today, anyway.
Okay.
But the fans aren't quite done there. So would you be up for answering some of their questions as well?
Perfect. Sounds good to me. Perfect.
Lovely. So thank you to everyone who submitted a question to Haydon. As I said at the start, we had so many submissions, more than I've ever had before. So it was fantastic. People were really getting behind it, and clearly you're doing something right if people are wanting to ask you loads of questions. But
yeah, the head's getting bigger now.
Be sure to, if you're listening, be sure to follow me on Instagram and Twitter if you want to get involved with asking any future creators or people that I have on the podcast. Links to both are in the description down below. But let's get on with the first question. Got a few coming at you today. You got a decent number because some of them were so good I just had to include them.
Okay.
The first one is from @F1Wow on Instagram. They ask, what motivates you to keep creating content in times where things might be tough?
Oh, that's a really good question. For me personally, I went through quite a bad period last year because I was living in the office and I was alone during the first lockdown for a good 4 months. But what got me through mainly was I was doing Twitch streams pretty much every single day and like having a Twitch chat, like people, even though it's just words on a screen, it's people to talk to, it's people to interact with. And that's the main reason now, while I'm out of that, I'm in a really good headspace that I want to give back to those people. You know, there were so many people in that group, in that chat, because we were at a point where not the GP was kicking off. So, you know, there was people probably who don't watch now, but might tune into like one of our videos every now and again or something like that. So that's for me why I carry on making this content, because like you got me through a bad stage. So whatever's going on in your life, even if it's like 20 minutes that we give you 20 minutes of happiness or just chilling out or getting away from anything else that's going on in your life, that's for me why I sort of do this now. It's just like, you know, let's go. It's always what I've wanted to do. I've always just wanted to entertain people, but now it's sort of given it more of a reason, I suppose.
Yeah, no, that's nice. I agree with you there, certainly with the streaming. I've found that before where if I'm having a bit of a down day, I feel like if you jump on stream as well, you kind of force yourself to be that happy, like, vibrant person. So it kind of forces you into that positive headspace anyway, and you just end up enjoying yourself and having fun, and it kind of lets you switch off from that background noise that's going on in your head. So, I agree with that, but it's a nice sentiment there, Haydon, a very nice sentiment. Now, I've got two kind of quick fire questions from two people. So at the 27th STD, an interesting username on Instagram, asks, does size matter?
Does size matter? No.
No, okay. No. We're not talking about anything specific there. No. I don't know if that alludes to anything for you, Haydon.
I'm a tall boy and Aldous is quite short, so, you know, and Aldous is great at what he does, so that's what we're alluded to. You know?
Yeah, of course.
Tall and short boys.
And then another quick one. At Bo Hornby on Instagram asks, what's 9 plus 10?
What's 9 plus 10? 19.
Yeah. Mate, what? No, it's not. It's 21.
No.
What are you on about? It's 21.
Okay. Yeah,
what was that, mate? You flopped that one, bro. What has happened there?
No, don't give me that, all right? I told you
earlier. You said you were good at maths.
Yeah, I told you earlier I'm good at maths, all right? I'm sorry, okay? This whole podcast has been a lie.
Right, okay. Two kind of actual questions to finish it off. At Maya Dermia _2005 on Instagram asks, what was the first F1 race that he remembers?
Oh, I can't pick one from when I used to pop into the room because I don't remember it. I don't remember any of those ones. I've got to say probably 2007 Brazil when Hamilton lost the championship. Probably the first one I remember vividly. But the one I definitely remember, definitely sticks with me, is obviously 2008 Brazil, because like I didn't really watch F1 like proper races during that point. I think I probably popped in 2007 was sort of maybe on off, but 2008 I definitely remember watching that whole thing and like being glued to, especially that end. Like, I mean, that's like historic. I mean, I think it's one of those lines of commentary that just you listen to it and it will give you goosebumps. Like no matter who you support, it will give you goosebumps. That's
100%. I was kind of the same. I was a child at that point as well, just kind of running in and see what was going on. Yeah, I remember. That's the first thing I remember is 2008 Brazil. Yeah, madness, crazy line. But yeah, as you say, watching that back, it still gives me goosebumps of like, wow, this is incredible, and goosebumps of I feel so bad for poor Felipe.
Yes.
Poor lad. Poor guy. We'll never get over that. Right. At Ricky_Red on Instagram asks, what was the biggest moment of the Backseat Driver series so far? And then he goes on to say, this series is such a banger.
Biggest moment of the series so far? I mean, it all depends on the race, doesn't it? I think the biggest moment really is Gasly winning. I don't think it gets any better than that. Or even Perez, or even the ones that sort of stand out for me is obviously Gasly winning. We're all quite chilled because it was me and my housemates at last series. So we were quite chilled with the Gasly winning. Sort of like, we're like, this is an awesome moment to be a part of. Yeah. Then the Turkey one, when Vettel gets on the podium, Kate, one of my roommates, she is a bit of a Vettel fan. My girlfriend is a massive Vettel fan, and those two were just like proper cheering on the sofa, like when he gets past Leclerc at the end there. And then of course Perez as well, and the George Russell situation. I think that was sort of definitely a highlight. But I think the highlights really, there's only one. And that's when Kira cries. It's just the best bit of content. Like, she cries over so much, and it's just like, I love it. And this series, the best moment so far is when Tomo goes cut to Kira crying, and she's literally flooding with tears. And a little punch on the table where it's just like, you just need a little hit mark on this.
She's like the crying Toto Wolff. Like,
yes.
Oh, amazing, incredible. I love that. I think that it's so predictable. Tomo can even go cut to Kira.
Yeah, I know.
That's
literally
amazing. Absolutely incredible. And then the final question to finish it off is the same question sent in from 3 people, and I'm not sure if you can maybe guess what it's going to be. At S_Stuart on Instagram asks, when are Veloce gonna announce the boys? And Carl_Connolly59 says, I already know what Veloce needs to announce the boys question will be. And Salmon_T23 asks, ask him why Veloce isn't announcing the boys. So can you tell us, why aren't Veloce announcing the boys?
Why aren't Veloce announcing the boys?
You knew it was coming, come on.
To be fair, yeah, I did know that was coming. Jeez, I love it. It's so funny just because for me, it came out of nowhere. And like, I don't watch F1 YouTube anymore because when you work, I don't know whether you do.
Apart from Moto Meerkat, obviously.
Apart from Moto Meerkat, I'm a regular viewer. Yeah.
Thanks, bro.
I don't know whether it's the same for you, but because you work in that space and you make those, you then don't want to spend your free time as much watching as much as maybe you used to. Like you'll dip into different bits here and there, but you won't like be a avid viewer as when maybe you first started. So for when that came, I'm like, oh my god, okay, who are all these different people? But it's great because like, I've got to know all these different people and all these different names because like I wouldn't have known them before. Yeah. But when are we announcing the boys? That is a difficult question, and unfortunately, it's not in my hands because I am not the boss of Veloce. As much as people sometimes think on Twitter,
Hayden,
just like
you are
just
the
like,
boss.
when did you found Veloce? I'm just like, I did not. Okay, I got a job here, and I'm very happy.
Amazing.
But yeah, I mean, there's the good thing about this space is that there's certainly stuff to people to work together, and Backseat Driver is a great way that we can do that. Is that we can get, like we had CCF1 who aren't part of the Veloce family, but we've got them on for a video. So if you find someone that you watch F1 with, one of the announcer boys, you get you guys together. Honestly, you get all of you guys together watching an F1 race when we can, right? And then we'll let you know which we'll get you on for Backseat Driver potentially.
Nice, 100%. Yeah, I know. There's 4 of us British guys in the boys, so we could definitely do something. We'll try and hang out. Obviously, once COVID's gone, obviously annoying. I can't be doing it over Zoom. And that. It's got to be in person. But yeah.
But just tape up Haydon because he's too hyper. He needs it. Just tie him up, tie him down. Otherwise, he's going to be all over the place.
Yeah, genuinely, he might be. So guys, we're back! Just like screaming down the camera.
Yeah, literally.
Like, calm down, Haydon. We'll literally be. Well, maybe one day, mate, or at least one day I'll get to come to the Veloce HQ and beat you at table tennis. How about that?
I mean, that's not really a hard feat, but if you're going to beat me at table tennis, then 1v1 hot lap on the sim. So.
Oh, perfect. Oh, I'm so down for this, mate. 100%. I haven't done iRacing in quite a number of months, but I've got one of my mates races for Yaz Heat on the iRacing team, so I'll get him to teach me, and then I'll come down.
Perfect. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. Sorted. Well, that's fantastic, mate. Well, that's kind of all for today's episode of the ChatterBox Podcast. Thank you very much for chatting with me, Haydon. It's been great. What link do you want me to leave in the description? Because obviously you do stuff on the Veloce channel. So do you want me to leave your Twitter?
Just leave my Twitter.
All right. Well, if you want to follow Haydon on Twitter, I will leave the link in the description. Make sure you go and do that. And they're very interesting bloke, as you've been able to tell from today's chat. So also, of course, make sure you subscribe to the Moto Meerkat channel so you don't miss any of my future episodes. Got loads of interesting people to come on the podcast. So again, make sure you subscribe or follow us on the podcast platform that you're currently listening on, whatever's easiest for you. Drop a like on the episode if you did enjoy, and I will see all of you Meerkats later. Goodbye, guys.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.